right, folks, we got another new album review for you today, and that is Richie Kotzen, Nomad. This is his, depending on how you count, 24th album. Same picture. Depending on how you count, this is his 24th solo album. He started releasing solo albums in 1989, even before he joined Poison. The booklet has absolutely nothing except lyrics on plain white paper. But I did want to read this little bit to you here. All of the performances, sounds, voices, and such that you hear on this album are executed by yours truly, with the exception of Kyle Hughes and Dan Potruk, who contributed their superior drumming on the song These Doors and Nomad, respectively. I would like to thank Jay Russin for his mixing and mastering expertise. So, if you don't know, Richie Kotzen, all the guitars, all the vocals, all the bass, all the keys, all the production, usually all the drums too. He did bring in a drummer for 2 songs on this album. It's a relatively short album. It's just under 35 minutes. 8 songs. It's a good album. I mean, it's Richie Kotzen. The guy has talent oozing out of every pore in his body. But I wish it was a little more rocking. He usually, I mean, he's a funky jazz crooner at heart. He started off as a rocker, but I think in his heart of hearts, he's a funk jazz crooner type of guy now. And he does have other outlets for his rockin', like the Winery Dogs and Smith Kotzen. So it's not the hardest rockin' album, but the guitar playing's masterful as always. He's got a good voice. It's very similar to Chris Cornell. If you have never heard him sing, I don't know how nobody's heard him sing by now. The album starts off with Cheap Shot. Actually has kind of a Blackberry Smoke riff for the intro. It's got a killer solo on it. It's probably the heaviest song on the album. So it's kind of a letdown. These Doors, it's a funk-infused number. Got a nice jazzy solo to it. You know, I'm not the biggest jazz guy or the biggest funk guy, but Richie Kotzen can make it palpable. And while I'm thinking about it, you know, somebody who I think Richie Kotzen should get together with to explore his funk leanings is Glenn Hughes. Glenn Hughes has always wanted to play with everybody, and Glenn's origins were in funk. He hasn't done much funk lately, but you know, those were his origins. Those early Deep Purple albums, early Trapeze albums, they're dripping with funk. His early solo albums are dripping with funk. So I would love to see Glenn Hughes and Richie Kotzen to find some killer drummer to get back behind the kit, and I think they would make a really good funk rock trio. But anyway, back to the album. Insomnia is the third track. It's another funky one. You got a good crunchy riff to it. And when I say crunchy riff, I'm not talking. I'm just talking. I'm talking about a funk crunch. Then you got the title track. It's got as you might expect, with the title called Nomad. It's got kind of a Middle Eastern feel to it. And then it's 6 minutes long. It's the longest track on the album. And then, like halfway through the song, he starts playing this flamenco, jazzy, blues type guitar picking, which he does say on this album that he uses a pick on about half the album, which he has not used a pick in his guitar playing since about 2007. So I don't know if that's something new or if this is the first album that he's done it on since 2007. But he did mention that he used a pick on half of it, so I would imagine that that's something relatively new for him over the last near 2 decades. And then, like I said, that flamenco, jazzy blues guitar thing comes in at like the 3 minute mark, and then at about the 4 minute mark, it just plays out the last 2 minutes. He always manages to save these songs. Not to say that it's a bad song, but he always pulls off some guitar stuff at the end of the songs, a la Lindsey Buckingham and Fleetwood Mac, that leaves you wanting more. Escape is the next track. It's a kind of a mid-paced rocker. It could have been one of the slower songs on the Smith Kotzen album. The next song is called On the Table. It has got a really nasty riff on it, but unfortunately it's kind of let down by the chorus. I don't know why, but he layered his vocals in the chorus, which kind of softens the song a little bit. I think if he would have just left it with just him singing and not the layered vocals, because all of the layered vocals are kind of softer, each one softer than the other. So it kind of takes you out of that nasty riff, but it does have a nice solo that finishes up the last minute of the song. This is a test. Is the seventh song. It's basically just him on guitar and vocals. I don't think it's an acoustic guitar. It may be, maybe acoustic guitar played electrically. But this is where his crooner comes in. Just him and his guitar singing. And then the last song is called Nihilist. It's another mid-paced rocker that's got a lot of tasty guitar work that finishes out the song. So yeah, it's like I said, it's mid-paced. A lot of it's mid-paced. You get a couple of crunchy tunes in there, rocking tunes in there, but I mean, and when I say rocking, I'm like, it would be the mid-paced song on the Smith Kotzen album. But I mean, it's Richie Kotzen. It's good stuff. I mean, I'm gonna give it 8 out of 10 because I don't know how I can give it any lower than 8 out of 10. And with the guy singing and his guitar playing and playing all the instruments, I mean, it's well produced, it's well written, it's well sung, well played. I mean, I don't know how I could give it any lower than an 8 out of 10. But then again, it's kind of lacking in the rock department. Which, if you know Richie's solo work, I mean, his solo albums are rock, jazz, blues, fusion, funk. There's a mixture of them. But he usually throws in enough rockers to keep you interested. I think this one's kind of lacking in the rockers. But then again, it's only 8 songs in 35 minutes, so there wasn't a lot of room for Well, I guess there is a lot of room for extra songs. I mean, we could have got one or two more rockers in here and pushed this thing up to 45 minutes. But like I said, 8 out of 10. It's a good, solid album. I would check out Cheap Shots and On the Table. See what you think. Richie Kotzen, Nomad, 8 out of 10. You guys have a good one.